Hey, it's David Shelton, broker at Century 21 Advantage, bringing you another episode of Real Value. All right, so today on this episode of Real Value, we're in that course of talking about generations. Sometimes we could view generations as something that separates us, or maybe something that uniquely identifies us, and we relate to this or identify with this. And so that's why we're going through this at the end of the day, so we can appreciate one another instead of keeping arm's distance or further away from one another. So today we're talking about Gen Z, and Gen Z are people that are born between 1997 and 2012. Some could argue maybe 2010, but something around that age, 11 to 26 years old. So right now, we're seeing Gen Z buyers in the marketplace. I'm seeing some of the Gen Z children that I have actually becoming homeowners because we encourage that. That's one of the things that we encourage in our family is home ownership, and why not make your first purchase your first rental property, ultimately that it would become that. Whether you're buying a single family home, a condo, a townhome, a piece of land if need be, or maybe a duplex, a triplex, or even up to a fourplex. You can buy all of those except for the land as your first primary residence. Get the best type of financing that's available, and that is generally for 30 years. It's generally something that has a place in the secondary market, so it's investment grade, and oftentimes there are programs for that first-time home buyer. And if you're in Gen Z, you're probably a first-time home buyer for sure. But you could even buy now at 26 years old, you could be on your second property for sure. It just depends on how aggressive you are and what you want to do with your future and real estate. So, and we are talking mostly about real estate, not about the type of music that you like or the places that you like to hang out. But in the Gen Z category, people are really, they're finishing college, those that went to college or tech school, and they're really looking to make a difference, to make their mark, and they're aligned in many ways. They're influenced by the culture, particularly by the internet, right? The internet, in some cases, the internet's raising both Gen Z and Gen Alpha, the younger generation. The internet connected smartphones, tablets, laptops, that connection between those devices is one of their most important connections in life. Moreover, more than family, more than friends. We know that technology really wants to be the end all in our lives, right? It wants us to go to it for answers, to the device, and particularly to the apps and the software behind it. So we've got to be careful. How can we navigate through the world? How do we know that what we hear on our devices or through these channels now that are not the traditional channels, the network television channels, but the channels that were our social media channels, or our apps that we're listening to? We're listening to podcasts now, that consuming a lot of information there. We're listening to a lot of things in this generation, and my generation as well, and I'm a boomer. But we're getting a lot of our information over our devices and on the internet, and maybe it could be called alternative media, but it seems to be like the cleanest, the purest. We can kind of weigh it. We're not having someone necessarily tell us what to think. There may be some of those sources that are telling us what to think. They may be telling us that this is black when it's actually white, and changing our minds or trying to change our minds or influence us in special ways. Gen Z, we talk about influencers, right? People wanting to grow up and be a YouTuber, right? An influencer and earn a living. And we know people like Mr. Beast, who some say is now a billionaire. As a kid at 14 years old, and then he's in that Gen Z. He's now leading the way, carving on the edge of what's happening in your generation. So when it comes to home ownership, yes, it's attainable. You don't need to get the fancy car first or the fancy watch. A lot of that bling stuff catches a lot of people's eyes. Or have this lifestyle that might be destructive, right? A lot of people get caught up in fast money, quick money. I want to be rich, and that's all that really matters, because they see that it seems to buy happiness or fulfillment, when in fact it just comes with a whole lot of additional baggage, if you will. So take advice from someone who was a youngster at some point. I'm still young at heart, but I remember those years from 11 to 26. I remember that time in my life when I wanted to get ahead, and I felt like the oxygen was leaving the room. I felt like, if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to afford it. I'll never be able to do it. And you've got people telling you right now that, hey, you'll own nothing and be happy. I could tell you from being around the world in places where people own nothing, that they're not happy. And ownership doesn't make you happy, but it balances things out. It puts you in a place to where you can actually achieve something, and converting your time into value. You need to know that you're valuable. You need to know that your future can be bright. And if you just need that encouragement, apply yourself. Here at Century 21 Advantage, we're hiring people in Gen Z to speak to other people in Gen Z, to represent them, both in property management as well as in real estate sales. And I'm sure they will be around the table as we move them into real estate development, because we're doing that as well. Come and join us. Come if you want someone to listen to you and to help you track on a home ownership path, on a real estate investment path. Give me a call. My name is David Shelton. I'm your friend, your trainer, your coach in real estate. My number is 605-906-8976. Can't wait to speak with you.
Say hello to the greatest tool to share your story with the world, using Active Image by turning any 2D image into a 5D experience, enhancing your connection with the viewer in real time using augmented reality. Try it today, activeimage.com.